Chelsea, I am so excited to have you here. Hello, my lovely friend. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm excited and blessed that you're here looking absolutely beautiful on our podcast. So lovely to have you. I've been wanting to chat for ages. I know you're feeling a bit nervous, but you've never had a problem
No,
chatting.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. I feel honored that you asked me to
Oh,
have a chat. So I
you're
can't
so
wait.
beautiful. You're so beautiful. Look, we were just having a quick chat before we press record. And, in your bio, I spoke about that, Xtreme started in 2020, right before COVID lockdown. But I thought you might want to share a bit about how Xtreme actually came to be because it was a very long-standing, old school, old guard studio. I used to compete against your mum's studio. Do you want to tell us like the whole story of how the whole studio started?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, mum had the studio forever.
Lee Windon
But
dancers
the
back in the old.
Lee Windon herself, the
Yeah.
queen. So she actually had a studio with her sister many,
Mm.
many moons ago. So that's how it kind of started, K&L Burns. And then she actually moved up to the Hawkesbury, where
Yeah.
I'm located. And then she had the studio here for 29 years.
Oh
She
God.
ran, yeah, she then branched out as Lee Windon Dancer. So she actually, for a period of time, was running out of both studios. So she was traveling down to Liverpool to do K&L Burns, and then she was also running Lee Windon Dancers up here.
Oh wow.
And eventually, then she just was up here, and then yeah, had the studio for a very long time.
Hmm.
And
So
then
were you,
basically
sorry, were you born into the studio? Like she always had it. That's all you've ever
I
known.
was literally in the womb choreographing tap dances with her, absolutely. She
Oh
was
my God.
pregnant with me all the way, like, she was constantly at work, like
Yeah.
she was still teaching and everything, and then I was literally born into the studio.
Hmm.
And so obviously then it was like, obviously I was literally born to dance. There was never really an option, but not
Of
even
course.
not even in that way that it wasn't an option. Like it was in my blood. And I
Yeah.
feel like growing up, always knew that I would take over the studio.
Hmm.
But then, like, I really wanted to pursue my career.
Hmm.
And so for a while there, I actually really like rebelled against it and I really
Hmm.
rejected it because I was like, no, I need to live my life and do what I want to do.
Absolutely.
I'll own the studio eventually, sort of thing. And so, yeah, I went to full time at Brent Street.
Yep.
And then I basically went overseas pretty much straight away and
Mm.
got my first gig. And then I literally got the travel bug. And then I just didn't want to stop. So then
Yeah.
it was just, I was constantly, hey, mum, guess what? I got this job. Or hey, mum, I'm off to China. Or hey, mum, I'm on this cruise ship. Like I was just constantly like going. And so then there was a period of time, I actually came home for like 1 year.
Yep.
And I really got into this mindset of like, this is it. I'm going to take over the studio.
Mhm. And so came
And
home and I
I
presume you were teaching for your mum and stuff as well while
Yep.
you were home?
So
Yeah.
every time I came home, then I would teach, and I'd basically the
Mm.
way it would work, I would come home and then I would like run the concert for her, and then I would
Yep.
take off in January again. I'd just come home for a little period.
Yep.
So then I came home for a while, and then I was actually really struggling to get a job, and so I was really like, "This is it. I'm going to take out the studio. There's
Staying.
nothing else
Yep.
to do." And then Mum was like, "You've got to go for this audition," and I was like, "No, I'm not going. I'm not being told no again." She
Oh,
was like, "Just try, just go one more time, just do it.
yep.
You can do it." Anyway, booked the biggest job of my life, and I ended up I got a gig with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Amazing.
So then I actually went and lived on a circus train for like 15 months,
Oh my God,
and
I did
had
not know this.
yeah. So then
Oh
I
my
literally
God.
ran away with the circus, and I just turned 21.
Yep.
So perfect timing because then I was moving to America. So I was like, yay, I'm of
Yep.
age.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I lived and traveled all over America and lived on a circus train, which was
Mm.
amazing. Came home again, was like, I'm done. I've been gone for so long. Was again like, this is it. I'm taking over the studio. And then I went for an audition for Celebrity Cruises, which is the
Yep.
sister company for Royal. and got it. And then I basically worked for them for 3 years, and I did 3 cruise ships in a row after
Yeah.
that. But every time, came home, did the concert, choreographed them for next year, would
Yeah.
leave,
New
go for
routines.
9 months, come home, and I did that
Perfect
basically for 3
timing.
years.
It's kind of
Perfect
a good,
timing.
like, little bit of an experience, right? Like, you get to do
Yeah,
the little bits of it and then still have the best
yeah.
of both worlds.
That's right, and so I was always, like, so involved with the studio, and then it just kind of became a thing as well, like, with my students at the time of, like, "Well, Miss Chelsea's going again, off she goes,"
Yeah.
And so everybody kinda knew as well to, like, come together. We gotta learn our routines for next year. I would do, like, a big opening and finale sort of
Mm.
routine for the concert, and then, "See ya, I'm off again," and you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
kinda did that, and then, got to my last contract, and I don't know. I kind of remember the moment that I was standing there with my life jacket on and just thinking, "What am I doing with my life? Like, what is happening? Like, who am I? Where is this going, Chelsea Windon? Seriously." And it's funny, my mum actually came on and visited me, like, and watched me dance and came to the shows,
Yeah.
had a little holiday, and she kind of said to me, "I'm done. I think I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm ready to retire."
Yeah.
And she'd kind of said that to me a couple of times, and then
Of
but then
course.
always went again.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Great," because I kind of want to do another cruise. So we kind of
It's
weirdly
meant to
both
be.
came to the decision, yeah, kind of
Yeah.
at the same time, where then I felt ready, and actually feel like I was finally mature enough, shall we
You'd
say.
grown up. You'd traveled,
Yeah,
you'd got it out of your
that's right.
system, you'd had the fun, that
That's
was time
it.
to
And I
yeah.
felt like I'd done everything that I actually really wanted to do,
Mm.
and I'd literally gone everywhere.
Yeah.
That I felt like, well, what was next? What
Yeah.
was the next step? And then mum was like, "I'm done." So we kind of reached that decision together. So then I
Perfect. So did
came
you
home
travel, like, was it almost 10 years of traveling? Like, basically,
pretty
and back
much,
and forth
li-
on shows? Yeah.
pretty much close to it.
Yeah.
And I just did so many things in between that. And then, like, I took little holidays in between each
Of course.
contract as well to sort of try and see the world. And thank goodness, because then when I came home, it was like in 2019,
Yeah.
Lee's retiring. We're now calling it Xtreme Talent Co. And then COVID happened in my
Of
first year
course.
of let's be a business owner and take over the studio. And
Yeah.
then here's a pandemic for you. So,
What a
yeah,
great introduction into owning a
what an
business.
introduction it was. Yes, I remember just feeling like in disbelief
Yeah.
and feeling like a duck out of, in water, just going, "What is going
Oh,
on? Like, how do I do this?" And like even turning to mum for advice, it was like nobody knew what to do.
of course.
What was Zoom? What was like teaching online? Like, what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was
In your first couple of
wild.
months, like, that's just yeah,
Literally, it was about
crazy.
3 months, I think I made it through. And then it was like, "Oh, there's this thing called COVID." I was
Oh,
like,
good.
"Oh, okay, we're all being in lockdown and you're going to now teach on Zoom." So
So much
it was an
fun. All
experience.
Absolutely. So, Lee Wyndon Dancers had, like, obviously a very well-known name in the
Yeah.
industry. You got home, you took over, beginning of 2020, and you're like, "No, changing the name." Was that, like, important to you to change the name? Did you feel like it was a refresh, or was it more about your personality kind of, like, coming across? Like, what was the big name change about?
Mm, that's a good one.
Mhm.
I feel like one thing that my mum actually said to me, which kind of stuck with me, was that she possibly wished that she didn't actually call it her name. And
Yes.
that's such a thing of like old studios,
It's an old
right?
school
Like it
thing.
was
Yeah.
always like, Amanda Barr's Dance Academy, and you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, so, and you had your name in it. And so I think that was something that she kind of stressed to me, like, don't put your name in it, like, don't put your identity
Yeah.
into it
Don't
because it
be
will follow
everything.
you everywhere. You know what I mean?
It's
And
so
I think for mum,
funny.
it was,
It's
sorry,
so
go ahead.
funny you say that because, like, it's exactly what my mum said to me as well. Like, I
Yeah.
wanted to call the studio when I opened it, being 16 and, and it was a long time ago, Miss Amanda's School of Dance or, whatever,
Yeah.
like, She's like, absolutely not. There is no way, because then you can't sell it. It's all about you. You know, people will only want you to teach. You know, you need to give it a different identity. It's so funny. Our mums have similar ideas.
Absolutely, you know, and I think it was also a thing as well because my mum is also a school teacher.
Yeah.
And so she was, which I also think was part of her success because she was like, even you're like, oh yeah, Lee Windon. Like everybody just kind of knew her name.
Yes.
So I think for a while it actually really worked with her brand. But then it sort of, you know, times then changed and we had to evolve with it. So even at one point, actually, when I was on the circus, we actually rebranded Mum's brand and then did like a new logo. So it was just LWD Dancers. And I actually like designed a new logo for her because she wanted her name to sort of not be in it.
Start to kind of come out of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that was really important for me then to not put my name into it.
Yeah.
And then as well, I think absolutely what you said, I just wanted it to have my own identity.
You wanted to do it yourself.
And I wanted it to be me. And I didn't want it to be Mum was red, black, and white. Ironically, now it's just pink, black, and white. But like I wanted to change the whole thing because it needed to be a fresh start. It needed to be new. And I think it all happened at the right time that then I was sort of able to now bring it into this sort of social media branding, you know, that full image world that Mum didn't really have to do. Like back in the day, fees were sent on a yellow envelope with handwritten. I remember Mum sitting there with
I've got to love that cash.
Like absolutely, you know, it's just so different now how business is actually run. And parents used to come and stand with their notepads and pens and listen to Mum with notes. There was no Facebook, there was no email, none of that existed, you know. So it had to have a whole new brand, really.
Absolutely.
So ironic, if you actually want to know something really interesting about the name, it kind of all happened, I think maybe subconsciously. It wasn't a choice that I made. It was just kind of a coincidence. But the circus that I actually traveled on was Circus Xtreme.
Oh, really?
And so
that always kind of stuck.
Like, it just kind of happened. But then I was like, I needed a cool name. You know, I wanted it to be edgy and a bit like me.
Fresh and young and fun. Yeah.
And then it was just kind of ironic. I think it was it's not why I called it that. But then when I sort of went back, it was like, oh my God, that's the show I was in. Like it must have been the subconscious kind of decision that I made.
Yeah, that's so funny. There you go. So did it take you forever to come up? Did it take you forever to come up with the name? Like, so like we're going to jump in because you like are all about your branding. You know, you have all your kids do your X symbol everywhere you go. Do you like that? This is our screenshot. Ready? You got to do the X. Ready? Go. There we go. So, you know, you have all the kids do your full Xtreme, you know, all of that. They do the symbol. Had you pre-planned that in your head, or did that come? Oh, my balloons are going off.
Oh my goodness, the balloons.
That's why you need to watch us on YouTube, not on a podcast, so you see my balloons, right? But yeah, did you plan all that before you came with the name, or did that kind of evolve after the name?
Definitely evolved. It was not the plan.
Yeah. It's not like it was like you had this, like you were this marketing genius in the back of your mind that was like, this is what I'm going to do.
No, absolutely not. Ironically though, like I think that's the thing, like when I really delve deep into it, we actually used to do this at the circus, but it's like that was in 2015. Like it just was so not really in my brain.
Yeah.
It's just like a weird irony that it's kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
But I absolutely had no intention of that, the X becoming a thing. And now it's like, it's a thing. Like people see me and they're like, yeah, Xtreme. You know, they put their X's up and I'm like, yeah. You know, it's like me and Mum say like, it's become like this thing and like kids they just want to do the X and it's so bizarre how it's happened. But no, there was no plan of that. I wish I was that much of a genius that it was like, going to call it this, and we're going to put an X
This is
up. And
this is gonna be all the things we're gonna do. Oh my god, that's like it's so
absolutely.
amazing. And like, you said the cult word, and like that's a good thing, right? Like, it's the community, it's, all of those things, which means people are so invested in your brand. We were
Absolutely.
just talking about our MacBooks having trouble before. Apple's a massive cult, right? We're all
Yeah,
obsessed with it. There's no way we'd ever think, even though you just had all this trouble with your MacBook, there's no way you're not buying a new MacBook. Like, of course, that's the
absolutely.
only way, because we're also like, this is the only way to be, and to be cool, you have to have an Apple, like, in our
Yes.
society and all of that. So it's so, so clever that you do that. So, Xtreme was born. Obviously, you went through COVID. You pretty much started again from scratch with students, right?
Yeah,
Like, it was pretty much,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And then I felt like I got on the front foot, and then it
Mm,
was like, oh, we're going on Zoom. And so people went, oh, no, thanks.
yeah,
So that it was like
of
clawing my
course.
way sort of through doing online.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was just basically, a fresh start, I would imagine. So,
Yeah.
it's hard because I wanted to ask you, because I thought it was at a different time. I had my stories a little bit wrong, but you wouldn't have had, too much like pushback on the change of branding or the change of uniforms or anything like that, I presume, because I presume it's just almost all new kids. Is that right?
Yes and no. Like, I
Mm,
definitely took over with a base.
mhm.
People didn't like leave because I took over or
No,
anything
of
like
course.
that. But I think the studio was ready for a rebrand too.
They were all excited by it as
I
well, and it
think so.
was,
And I
yeah.
think it was like, oh, Miss Chelsea's back, because the kids that then kind of I have now through
Mhm,
were like Ready Set Dance, like they were in the preschool program. So now
mhm.
I've literally taken them through from preschool to
Yeah,
now they're like my 12 and under show group. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I've literally watched them grow up. So
yeah.
it kind of happened. We'd actually only just taken on Ready Set Dance right
Mhm.
towards mum sort of finishing up,
Yeah.
literally a year.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, it, like, was kind of all new anyway, and so when
Mm.
they were sort of
Was
transitioning then out
exciting.
of
It was
preschool,
lots.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was like they were then becoming extreme. It wasn't
yeah,
actually, "Oh, you have to get rid of your Lee Windon uniform and now you have to wear this," you know what I
yeah, yeah,
mean? So it all kind of, it honestly worked at the right time. It
yeah.
all kind of just fell into place in a really weird way.
So,
Um,
so amazing. That's so
and now
good.
it is, you're right, like, now it is like a fresh new base of kids that is purely extreme. They don't
Oh,
actually
absolutely.
really know Lee Windon dances, except my like original who are
Yeah,
now like 12 and unders. So I
yeah.
have taken them through from the start.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, I wanted to talk about your incredible branding, because I use you as an example for socials, for organic socials, quite a lot, because you do amazing things. You are all about your branding. And, it's something that I absolutely love about you, because you like live and breathe it. Like you just said, you do your X down the street, like you, every photo I see of you, you're doing that. You're fully wearing, even though you're not in your studio, clothes today, you've got your pink on. You've got your trademark pink hair, of course.
Of
Was
course.
the was the pink hair before Extreme or after you started the studio?
It was after. I
Yeah.
basically went pink to match. That's kind of why I did it. And funny story. I tied it in with, I actually did it go pink for breast cancer,
Oh,
because I
cute.
was like, this could be a that was planned. I was like,
Yeah.
this could be a way that I can do a really great thing for a great cause that I'm passionate about,
Yes.
but transition into the pink, and it will
Mhm.
then make sense, and it's not just like, bam, I've got pink hair. And it was a journey to get this pink hair, by the
Yeah,
way,
of course.
because I have actually been every color under the sun and
Mm.
every haircut, you name it, short, shaved, long,
All the
front fringe,
things.
no fringe, all the things. And then, yeah, I was kind of in this weird stage where I was actually kind of looking for my identity
Yeah, of
as
course.
well, and
Mm.
who am I going to be?
Mm.
And yeah, I kind of went, actually, maybe I'll do this and that'll help me get to pink. But I didn't actually quite get pink during the Go Pink Fund. It went like a weird
It didn't make it that far.
strawberry blonde, like kind of orange, slowly transitioning into pink. So it took me about a year to actually get to the pink that I wanted.
Yeah.
So I 100% did that though to match because I'd already always dyed my hair.
Yeah.
And then I was like at one point I actually had fire red, bright red hair, and it worked so well with Lee Windon dancers
Perfect.
because it matched the uniform, and I used to love that.
Yeah.
So when I went pink, I was like, well, that's it. I have to have pink hair. Like,
Of course. Absolutely.
naturally, I have to have hot pink hair.
Why would you not have to have hot
Why
pink
would-
hair?
why
Maybe
would
that's
I
what I
not?
need to do as well for Expo, have hot pink hair. I don't know if I'd look quite as
Absolutely.
good as you
Isn't
pulling
that
it off.
funny? Isn't that funny how, like, now I'm a part of Studio Growth Club and Dance Principals United, and like you're pink as well. It's kind of like perfect. Everything in my life is pink, and I love it.
We've gotta love that. We've gotta all lean into the
It's
pink.
perfect.
I only ever
Absolutely.
wanted a pink studio. That's all I ever wanted, and
There you go.
same thing, my mum wouldn't let me because all the studios in competition all had pink at the
Yes.
time, and so we're like, "No, which colour isn't being used?" So we had to, like, swap it
And
out, and it was
honestly,
purple.
that's why I went pink because it was like
Mm.
nobody's got pink.
Yeah.
So I'm going pink. That's it. I
Mm.
can't do blue. I can't do orange. I can't, like it was.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how that's actually how you make your decision?
It's hard because,
How am I
like
going to be different? Oh, what color's not
absolutely.
being used? And then it's literally
Absolutely.
changed my whole life.
Your whole wardrobe, your whole
My
everything,
whole
your
wardrobe,
decor,
my
yeah,
hair,
everything. It's so,
everything.
so good. But I love how much you lean into it. Like, Beck and I did a podcast a few weeks ago on branding and being your brand, and you absolutely do that. You know, I'm sure that, the kids all, like, talk about you and wanna be like you and, wanna be the one with pink hair. Is that you just told me that they come as, like, dress up week and, like, put their hair pink
Oh,
and stuff, so they're like Miss Chelsea?
tell parents like I'm so sorry because their gorgeous daughter's beautiful natural blonde hair, they just want it to be pink. So I have many apologetic conversations with my parents, but it's funny because they love it. The
Yeah.
parents actually love it and actually will willingly. There was a trend a little while ago where they were doing like you can get the crepe paper and you just rub it into their hair so it's not permanent, but it just gives
Yeah.
them that color. And like a child can't do that. So the parent was actually sort of leaning into that, if they get the braids is like a big thing.
Mm,
They always have like pink
the pink,
braids,
yeah.
and it was funny, actually, funny story. I think it was last term, I had a girl come in and she had blue braids. And
Mm.
I was like, well, that's an odd
What is
choice, and everyone was like, why have you got blue?
why on earth?
It's for school. It matches for my school photos, and she was really like, I'm sorry, it's blue.
Defensive.
It's not pink, so it's funny, like it has, and
Mm,
pink has become extreme. It's
yeah,
not pink anymore. Even so far as my preschool classes, we have feathers,
yeah,
and it's like blue is Elsa and pink is extreme.
yeah,
Or you can have pink like Miss Chelsea, like
yeah.
it's become an identity in itself.
That's so
They
cool.
want pink nails because they want it to be extreme, and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And like, yeah, you're right. Like we did a extreme dress up week and like they go hard. Like they go hard.
Just so
And
into it.
they're so into it. And
Mm,
I love it. I love that because that's how I am. I don't
yes,
do anything
by
1%.
halves. Yeah,
It's 1 or 100,
yeah,
like there's no in between. And I really think that has sort of filtered through to the studio.
yeah.
And they are like they're 5 and they're like they want to do the
Extreme.
X and let's be extreme, and they want everything to be pink. And
So
I'll
cute.
show you my cup. Like, they're giving me given me Yetis that say
Extreme.
extreme and Miss Chelsea and everything's like
Cute.
pink, and it's like, do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's become like a brand that everybody is so into, and the parents too, like
Yeah.
I
They all
think you
wanna be
have
part of it.
to, yes, and you have to be so invested into your brand if you want people to have that reaction. If you want to have
Absolutely.
that.
And that sense
dedication
of
from people.
and the sense of belonging as well, because that's what people wanna belong to something, they want to know what they stand for, all of those things. So, I know that, you're in Windsor and it's a relatively small kind of area. Do you see benefits like, I know that you're all team Xtreme when you walk down the street. Do people, like, recognize you? Do you think that that kind of helps build your business? Do you feel like people know that that's, "Oh, hey, yeah, she's that chick that, owns that studio, and that's where I'm gonna go," and that kinda thing?
I think you just nailed it. There's that
Yeah,
chick with pink hair.
yeah.
That's
They can't
exactly
miss
what
you.
happens.
Yeah.
I have to say, yeah, the pink hair is definitely a thing.
Yes.
People stop me everywhere I go.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's like I almost forget that this is my hair color
Yeah.
because it's just how I look now.
Of course.
And it's like people, yeah, they stop me on the street everywhere I go. I am a very big believer in wearing my uniform. I didn't wear it today. I was like, oh, I'm actually being a human today. I'm
You're
being
being a
Chelsea today.
a grown up today.
um, I'm being a grown up today in my pink jumper, of course. But I like wear my uniform religiously. I
Yeah.
wear it everywhere. If for a while, I was a bit like, oh no, I've got to take that off. Like particularly my preschool uniform.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I shouldn't be seen in this.
Mm.
But then I don't know. One day I was like, no, you know what? I need to own this, and they need to know that you got to
That's
come to
where yeah.
me to come and do Ready Set Dance because I'm the only studio that has Ready Set Dance.
Yeah, of
And
course.
when people see you, and it's interesting that then people will stop me like, oh, I love your shirt. It's so bright. Oh, wow. Like, I love your vibe. I get that a
Mm.
lot too. And
Mm.
then same with my Xtreme uniform because it has got the hot pink on it.
Yeah.
People notice it, and then I've got the pink
Absolutely.
hair and I've always got pink shoes as well. Like it's a thing.
You go
So
all
yes,
out.
absolutely. But I do think that it helps, and I encourage my teachers to do it as well.
Mm.
We will go out wearing, obviously not everywhere, but if we've taught in the morning and then we need to go to the grocery store, I won't get changed.
Of
I'll
course, yeah.
stay in that because then sometimes I will see a little kid and they're like, Mummy, she's got pink hair. And then
Yes.
they see my uniform, and then sometimes it has sparked a conversation just because I'm doing my groceries,
Absolutely,
which is
or
great.
they might not do it straight away, but you never know. They might then see you
Yeah,
on
it's a
socials,
great
they might
view.
it's just all of that all goes on. We talked
Absolutely.
about Apple before, and, I'm rocking my best, Steve Jobs impersonation. The same thing,
Yes,
like,
you are.
because I think, for other people listening, like, they might not want to do pink hair, and it's not about that, but it's about being the persona and a character and, living and breathing your brand. And I think that that's so, so impressive in everyday life, in everything that you do, and becoming like, yeah, a character almost, I guess.
Yes,
Miss Chelsea, the
absolutely.
character.
It's funny because it's just like I feel like I'm living the life that I envisioned that I would,
Mhm.
and it's just like, this is me.
Yeah.
It is who I am. I am very out there. I'm very bubbly. You said before I could talk underwater with marbles in my mouth. Like that's me, I am very like personable and easy to talk to, approachable. And
Yeah.
I try and do that, particularly like with my parents. I think it's so important to create a connection with them
Mhm.
so that they know that their child is actually genuinely being loved and cared for. I
Absolutely.
know every student's name, I know every parent's name, I know about their life, I know about their pets, and I
Mm.
genuinely am interested in that. And then I think
Absolutely.
when you're showing up and you're constantly in brand and this is who I am and I am Xtreme,
Yeah.
they then respect that and appreciate
Absolutely.
that because then they trust that we're doing a good thing. It's not just rock
Absolutely.
up in your tracky dacks and, "Oh, yeah, hey, how are ya?" And then you
Yeah.
come.
It's not just like a part of your life, it's your whole life, and you're
Exactly.
very
It's
committed
I
to the
live
cause.
and absolutely, and I think you have to be, especially when you're teaching children. It's a pretty
Absolutely, and,
it's a
like,
pretty
it's
important
working.
job.
It's
Yeah.
working for you. How many preschoolers have you got?
I'm at 130 right now,
That's amazing.
which I'm incredibly proud of.
So, so
It's
good.
been it's been a very fluctuating sort of roller coaster,
Mhm.
and as you said before, I think a major success has been my presence on social media and the
Oh,
effort that I
yes.
go to there,
Mhm.
because that has helped me grow tenfold.
Mm.
Like my mum had literally, before we took on Ready Set Dance, she had 6
Yeah.
preschoolers. Because
Yeah.
back in the day, we talk about all the time, Studio Grad
Yeah.
Club, you know, it wasn't important to have preschoolers,
Yeah.
you know, and then we took on Ready Set Dance. She got a lot more in like her first year, and then it's
Yeah.
just kept growing as I've sort of taken it over
Mm.
because of the brand. I truly believe
Absolutely.
that because
Absolutely.
I've
So
literally got so invested into it.
you touched on social media, and your social media is always on point. The branding always looks fantastic. So, I was watching your stories, and even so much in your stories that, you've got like a little slight pink filter on them that's going on, and the same on every single one. So tell me, like, what do you think super important in your social media to kind of keep you on brand? Like, what do you allow to happen? What don't you allow? What don't you like? What works for you?
It's interesting. I think it's like it's an ever evolving thing, and I think it
Absolutely.
changes all the time. Like, for example, reels weren't a
Mm.
thing a
No.
year ago, but
Yeah.
they are now. And if you're not
Mhm.
posting a reel, what are
You
you
gotta
doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's always changing and trying to keep up with it,
Yeah.
but very aware of who my who my clientele is,
Yes.
who am I trying to appeal to, and
Mhm.
to stay in my own lane, which
Yeah.
is very difficult sometimes when you're looking at other people's stuff,
Yeah.
which I, to be honest, try and not do anymore,
Yeah.
because then I think it can confuse
Conf
you and make you feel
Absolutely.
like, "Oh, well, I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing," so I really try and just stick with who I am and, to be honest, what I know works.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to sort of have it down pat, but I've got it down pat to like a fine art now.
Mhm.
It's like, and I have to say that my social media, my stories and my posting, it is non-negotiable, and
Yeah.
it's like number one priority.
Yeah.
It like comes first. And even to the point where I might be really busy, and the guilt that I feel driving home that I have not posted my story yet for my parents to see,
Yeah.
it's like,
You
it's
have to
up there.
prioritize it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so important that it's gotta be like it used to just be. It's funny, we're prepping, we're recording this at the moment on a Tuesday, and we've got our Studio Growth Club call in a minute, and we were prepping that and talking about, that social media used to just be like, oh, it was just a thing that, oh, yeah, I'll do that. That'll be cute on the side. But now it really needs to be your number one priority. Like, to grow your
Absolutely.
business as a business, it's gotta be such a huge part of it.
100%. And I think
Mm.
it's as well, it's not only that your own parents are gonna see it, but then I'm very big on, I tag everybody. So
Yes.
then what happens is then they share it, and then their friend sees and they're like, "Oh, do you go there? Oh, cool, I'm gonna come there." And that is
Yeah.
honestly what has sort of been a massive success for me
Yeah.
when I started tagging every single parent,
Mhm.
because then they share it, and it's just a cycle, you know?
Absolutely.
I'm very careful what I share as well, and
Yeah.
I try to keep it consistent
Mhm.
so that they're always sort of seeing the progression of the class. Particularly in my preschool classes, I that is sort of how I share what they do in class. So I
Mhm.
don't actually share it on band or in a Facebook group or anything like that. It's purely through Instagram,
Yeah, okay.
because then it sort of works as a double
Yeah.
pronger for me, that then
And you
they're
don't have to do
also
it twice.
resharing it. I don't
Yeah.
do it twice.
Yeah.
And they actually, my parents love that, but it's also because that's just what we do. It's a thing
Yeah.
about, that's how they're conditioned. When they come into the
Absolutely.
studio, it's like, join our Facebook group to keep updated and make sure you're following us on Instagram. Like, they're my
Yeah.
instructions,
Yeah.
be on social media because that's where we are, sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so they like reshare it. And like, I'm telling you, I've had parents actually go, "Well, you didn't tag me in that. Or
Yeah.
you haven't shared that." And
I was
and
gonna
it
ask
is
about
like,
that.
there's an expectation now. I have, and it's my own fault. I have created an
Mm.
expectation, but it's a good expectation because parents do want to see what their kids are doing, you know,
Yes.
and I think that they actually want to share it because then they're proud
Absolutely.
of like, wow, look at them skip down the room. Oh my
Yeah.
God, look how funny she was with that pancake, the bean bag, you
Yeah.
know? So I think that's been really a great success and it's been like really important in my growth. And
Absolutely.
I think as well, the more confidence that I've gotten in it and who I am, and as the studio has sort of established itself,
Mhm.
I'm now a little bit more, I actually am a little bit more playful now.
Mhm.
Sometimes, like even last night, I had basically an entire 2 grades all in their jackets, which I'm so proud of because I'm very big on uniform. Like, you've got to be
Yep.
in uniform, you've got to be in the brand. So we did a whole thing about like, it's cold outside, and we did a boomy of them all with, you know, and then we did
Yeah.
a hot, but lucky our jackets are keeping us warm.
Yeah.
So then it's sort of like, it's a bit comical and the
Yeah.
parents think it's really cute, but then I'm also like,
Selling
oh,
your
look how good we
jackets.
look in our jackets. Yeah, exactly, you know? And so I'm becoming a little bit more adventurous in that as well,
Mm.
and
Mm.
letting as well, especially in Xtreme, like my older kids' classes, if there is something really funny that the kids have loved, I actually share that now.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect anymore. I was very like, it has to look like this and we have to be like
Look,
this,
that was gonna be one of
you
my
know?
big questions because
Yeah.
you have only recently, like, quite recently retired from professional dancing.
Yeah.
So, we talk a lot about, not wanting to do things for your peers, and that's gotta be really hard
Mm,
for you because you've retired from professional dancing with all these incredible dancers around you.
mm,
You can do all the
yeah.
things and all, you're still young enough to do all the cool things and do all that. But how does that go with, like, your ego and posting, non-technically correct things
Mm.
on socials? Like, how does that sit with you? Has that been, like, a really hard thing to kinda get past?
Yes and no. I think
Yeah.
maybe at first
Yeah.
it was like, what am I doing? And
Yeah.
it was hard as well because it was like on Zoom.
Yeah.
So anything that I was sharing wasn't like, it was more like my angle was, we're still dancing, we're getting through Zoom.
Of
I'm
course.
so proud of this community. Do you know what I mean? I feel
Yeah,
like every
whatever.
year my message has kind of
Yeah.
changed. So at
Mm.
first it was a bit like, oh, this is not me, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that now, to be honest, like I'm really proud of my kids and where they're at and
Mm.
the growth that they've had, that perhaps I'm blinded by that, but like I don't really care. I'm
Awesome.
more like,
And you're
let's
focused on
share
your
this
client.
because that's it. And I'm just like, yeah, check this out. This is what we've been
Mm.
up to, you know? Um, it doesn't really bother me. It
Mm.
doesn't really bother me because I'm just so invested in the studio
Yep.
and getting better and improving that doesn't really phase me. I don't really care what people think of me. I care about my parents and my Xtreme community and my kids
Yeah.
and how am I going to improve for them, not my
Yes.
peers.
I
You
love that
know,
so
that's
much.
that's what's important.
So, so good. My other question, because I've told a lot of people about how big you are on stories and how you're tagging all the parents and how that's had such great growth for you. How
Mm.
do you, for the people listening, like, how do you actually do that? Like, 'cause so many people are like, but how do I actually know what all the parents' tags are? How do I actually make sure I don't miss a parent? How do I, like, what do you actually do to make that happen? Because I've seen your stories and you have a lot of parents tagged in those stories sometimes.
Yes, I know. It's funny when people no, it's just funny when people ask me this because I just go, I don't know. I just did it. It
Yeah,
just started happening. And I just went, I need to start tagging people because if I don't tag them, how can they see it?
yeah,
How, like, there's so many stories that are on your Instagram that, like, I don't see.
of
I'm not
course.
going to see it. And if I'm not tagged
Mm,
in it, how can I possibly see it? So I just kind of went, well, to be honest, I didn't even really know you weren't supposed to tag people. Like, I just thought this is how you do
I
it.
love it.
So
Yeah.
I just started tagging people, and yes, you're absolutely right. Back in the day when I first started, I had 2 kids in the class, so
Yeah.
that was easy. That was
Mhm.
no problem.
Yeah.
And then it was like 10, 15. Now I've got 20. Now I've got kids, like I've classes, sorry, that I have over 20 kids.
Yeah.
Now the annoying thing with Instagram is you actually can't tag more than 20 people
Mm.
at a time.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating because I do not like not tagging anyone because I don't
Yeah.
want them to feel
Left out.
like I haven't tagged them or I've forgotten them or anything like that.
Mm.
So what I try to do, it's funny, not everybody is actually on social media. So
Yes.
sometimes I actually have a class where maybe there's 2 kids in there that their parents actually aren't on Instagram. So great,
Mhm.
that's okay. I can then tag everybody else. Of course, they have their permission that I can share them on
Yeah.
social media. And then if there's a sibling, that's easy because I only have to do one parent.
Yes.
If there is a class where there's lots of them, I try to rotate it. So
Okay.
I will make sure I know who the parent is, and I might tag them in that, and then I won't tag that parent, I'll tag them in that. So honestly, it's
Just
hard work.
memory. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is hard work, and yes, I do not have a formula. I don't have everybody their Instagram
In
handles written
spreadsheets or
down in my
something.
notes. I actually
Yeah.
just know them by heart. I know them by
Okay.
memory.
You just
And if a
make it
new
important.
it's just a thing. And if
Mm.
I have a new parent sign up, I will find them on Instagram first.
Yeah, okay.
It's a bit stalkerish, isn't it?
Or do you just ask them, or do you actually
Yes,
just
I ask them. I ask them
Yeah.
as well, like, if it comes up in conversation, and I just bring it up naturally, like, "Hey, are you on Instagram? Oh, let me find you. I'll just give you a follow because I
Yeah.
tag everybody in the class afterwards." It's so
Absolutely.
easy to have that conversation, and parents are like, "Oh, cool. Love to see that.
Yeah.
Sure, this is my hand." It's actually so easy to have that conversation. And
Absolutely.
so,
I
yeah,
think
I
people
just
get
make
in their heads about it or something. Like, they think that
absolutely.
it's this really awkward, like, asking people for their bank account details. I'm like, "No, just ask them. Say,
Yes.
'Hey, I took a really cute video in class today. I'll tag you. What's your handle?'"
It's so easy to do, and so I do. I just sit there and, like, after every class, I always tag the photo first.
Mhm.
I'll always post the photo first, and then I've, like, looked at everyone, I've actually tagged their parent, so it's, like, in my brain,
Mhm.
and then I'll go through the story and tag and, like, yeah, I'm human. Sometimes I'll go through and be like, "Oh my god, who was that other kid? I know there's one more kid in that class."
Yeah.
Because 'Cause I'm trying to tag, like, I'm trying to tag everybody and remember it, but I'll just pull up the phone and be like, "Oh, it's Amanda, that's right."
Yeah.
And I'll pop it in, like, it's not that hard, but it is effort, and it does rule my life, but
Yeah.
because I make it rule my life as well. Sometimes I'll get
Absolutely.
home and it's like, I cannot do anything. I cannot have my dinner. I cannot shower. I will do nothing until I have done my story.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it,
Do you have,
because I
like,
make it a priority.
Absolutely, and, like, do you have, like, how many stories you wanna do a day or per class or anything like that? Or you don't have numbers on it, but you just try to do
No,
as many as you can?
it's just like organic. It's like
Mm.
sometimes, hey, sometimes the class isn't on fire, and
Yes,
sometimes
we
they
all
are.
have
So that
classes like that.
exactly, because they're kids, so
Yeah.
sometimes they're not having like the best day ever. So there's not as much content, or maybe we
Mm.
are having so much fun that I have taken so much content of the day. It
Yeah.
just depends. Every single day is different, and my stories are always different. They're always
Yeah.
consistent in that there will always be a ready set story, and then there'll always be an extreme story,
Mhm.
no matter what. But it changes every day. And like sometimes I am so flat out teaching that I haven't had a second to take a boomy of that class. And
Yeah.
well, sorry, I was teaching. But I'll
Yeah.
always put something on. So even if I just put a photo on,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like I
Or
will
something
always make sure
old.
something goes up.
Mm.
I post every single day. I post now even on Sundays. I used to like not do that, but now I am posting every single day because
Yeah.
I think that you have to. Think
Absolutely.
about
It's
how
how
much
you have
like
to be
you think
seen,
you yourself sit there and scroll.
especially
Well,
on a
I want them
Sunday.
to scroll. Exactly. I want them to scroll and see me.
Yeah, I scroll more on a
Yeah,
Sunday than any other day. It's when I'm sitting,
absolutely.
on the couch, or I'm do when, you have a bit more time, right?
That's right. That's right. And I think
Absolutely.
that's another thing that reels have become important for me,
Yeah.
making the reel. And like,
Mm.
look, if I'm doing it like quick on the spot, like it takes me an hour, not gonna lie, and I'm pretty quick at them. But
Yeah.
I'm also a perfectionist, so I like to finesse it and make sure it like looks good.
Mhm.
But like if that's all it takes, that I have to just make a quick little reel and it takes me an hour, but then it's getting viewed 2,000 times,
It's worth it.
it's a win, you know? And the
Absolutely.
parents love it and then they reshare it and blah, 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 and it goes
And
around.
we used to pay an
Even
absolute fortune for ads in the newspaper to be
that's
seen by
right.
2,000 people, right? Like, it used to
Even
cost us a
last week
fortune.
even last week we did Crazy Sock Week,
Mhm.
and, I had I should have got a commission from Mad Mia because the amount of socks
We'll
that
hit
came
Mad Mia
over,
up
like
later.
well, that was the point. I did this post, and I
Mm.
didn't tag them in it, but I did hashtag Mad Mia. Well, they
Yeah.
commented.
Oh,
I felt
really?
a little bit like a celebrity. I was like, "Oh my
Start
god,
being an
Mad Mia
influencer.
official." But look at that. I didn't even try to
Mm.
tag them. I wasn't trying to get them to comment, but it just shows you how it circulates. And they saw it, and I was like, "Oh my god, cool, right?"
So, so good. Well, you are absolutely amazing. Huge congratulations on all your success, especially taking over
Thank
the
you.
studio, pretty much starting from scratch almost in 2020. Like, you're doing amazing things. You should be so proud of
Thank
yourself.
you. I am pretty proud, and I think sometimes it does take a second to, like, sit back, and it's actually been really nice, like, thinking about it and talking about it all when you actually
Absolutely.
reflect on it and how much it actually has evolved, like,
Mm.
even to the point of painting the studio. It wasn't always hot pink, trust me. It was beige and gross, and it is, I just think over time
Mm.
has become a brand and an identity, and it's like but it's not been not thought out
Yeah,
and not planned and and hard work. So sometimes it
absolutely.
is nice to actually sit back and be like, "Oh yeah, that is pretty cool, huh?"
So, so cool. Well, it has been absolutely lovely to have you on the podcast. Chelsea, Team Extreme, doing all the
Team
things.
Xtreme.
It's been
Thank
so,
you
so
so much
good.
for having me.
Big love. Thanks, chick. We'll see you next week on the podcast,
Bye.
friends.